Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Windbridge Afterlife Science Podcast. I'm Anna, and as always, I'm joined by my brilliant co-host, Aaliyah, and special guest, Mave.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Today, we have an intriguing topic, testing the accuracy of mediums. We'll dig deep into how science approaches mediumship.
And hi from me, too. Yeah, this is such an important topic. I think a lot of people wonder, how do you actually test something like mediumship?
Exactly. But before we dive in, just a quick note. The information we share is for educational and personal growth purposes only. It's not a substitute for professional medical or psychological advice. If you're struggling emotionally, we encourage you to reach out to a healthcare provider.
All right, now let's get into it. So, Anna, can you give us an overview of what mediumship research looks like at the Windbridge Research Center?
Sure. Mediums are individuals who experience regular communication with the deceased, called discarnates, and they report this information to the deceased's living friends or relatives, known as sitters. What makes Windbridge's research so unique is how rigorously it tests these claims.
Yeah, and it's been going on for a while. Dr. Julie Scholl, the director of research at Windbridge, has been studying mediums under controlled lab conditions since 2003. Her background is fascinating. She's trained in pharmacology and toxicology, so she brings a very scientific approach to something many people see as mysterious.
I love that. It's a perfect blend of curiosity and scientific rigor. So, how does Windbridge test if mediums are actually communicating with the deceased?
Well, the process starts with the most fundamental question. Can mediums provide accurate and specific information about discarnates? The key to this research is creating a controlled environment that removes any possibility of fraud or deception, like cold reading.
Cold reading is when a medium could be using clues from the sitter, right? Things like body language or how someone reacts to a question.
Exactly. That's why at Windbridge, mediums don't get to see or interact with the sitters during the readings. These readings happen over the phone with an experimenter, and they involve 5 levels of blinding to rule out any normal explanations for accurate readings.
Okay, let's break that down. 5 levels of blinding. Walk us through how that works.
Sure. So, first, the medium is blinded. They know absolutely nothing about the sitter or the discarnate before, during, or after the reading. They're asked to provide specific details, like the discarnate's personality, cause of death, or favorite activities.
And then the sitters don't hear the reading while it's happening. They're given a written transcript later, which includes 2 readings, one intended for them, called the target reading, and one meant for another sitter called the decoy reading. The sitters have to score both without knowing which one is theirs.
That's smart. So they're looking at the accuracy of the readings objectively, not just thinking, this is for me, so it must be right.
Exactly. And then there are 3 different experimenters involved, each blind to specific parts of the process. This way, no one person has all the information, reducing any potential bias or experimenter cueing.
This is where it gets interesting. The results of these studies consistently show that sitters rate their own target readings as significantly more accurate than the decoy readings. In fact, the data from multiple studies, including one replicated by an independent lab in Italy, showed that sitters chose the correct reading for their deceased loved ones around 68% of the time.
And that's a statistically significant result, right? So it's not just chance.
Exactly. These findings are important because they provide evidence for something called anomalous information reception, or AIR. That's the term Windbridge uses to describe how mediums receive accurate and specific information about the deceased without any sensory feedback or prior knowledge.
I think one thing that really strikes me is how this research goes beyond just proving that mediums can be accurate. It also touches on deeper questions about consciousness and what happens after we die.
Right. And that's where phenomenology comes in. It's the study of how people experience certain phenomena, and it plays a big role in mediumship research. Windbridge has found that mediums describe the information they get from discarnates as being received rather than retrieved. It feels like communication rather than just psychic knowledge.
Exactly, and the mediums often describe being in an altered state of consciousness during these readings. Their sense of time might change, and they feel like they're not in control of the information coming through. It's more like they're witnessing it.
That's fascinating. It really paints a picture of the process being more passive, almost like the medium is just a receiver of information rather than actively seeking it out.
Yes, and some mediums even report physical sensations, like hearing a ringing sound or feeling a change in temperature, as signals that they've connected with the right discarnate. Others might spontaneously just know things about the discarnate, which they describe as an intuitive download.
And this makes the phenomenon even more compelling. It's not just the accuracy of the information that's surprising, but the way mediums experience the process. This research gives us insight into the nature of consciousness itself, whether it can survive death and continue to interact with the living.
I love that. It's about expanding our understanding of human consciousness, right? But it also has practical implications like helping people who are grieving.
Definitely. People who've experienced after-death communication often feel less grief, more peace, and a sense of closure. If we can understand and validate these experiences through science, it could really help alleviate suffering.
Absolutely. This research isn't just about satisfying curiosity. It's about helping people live better, more meaningful lives by easing their fear of death and the unknown.
So, where does the research go from here?
There's still so much to learn. The Windbridge Research Center continues to study how mediums operate and how this information might challenge our current scientific paradigms. But it's clear that the data we have already supports the possibility that consciousness might survive bodily death.
And if that's the case, it could completely change how we understand our place in the universe.
Wow, I think we've covered a lot today. If you want to learn more, head over to windbridge.org. You can access free educational resources, sign up for our mailing list, and support this important research.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps us continue to explore these big questions and offer resources to the public for free.
Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope this conversation gave you some new insights into how mediums are tested and why this research is so important.
Until next time, take care and keep exploring the mysteries of life and beyond.
Bye, everyone.